Can you believe that we can represent almost the whole world's data using just 6 data types? That's incredible to me because there's a lot of stuff in the world. There's analytics, there's books, all this stuff. And it can all be summarized in just basically 6 data types. So hi, my name is AJ and I'm with Popcorn Robot. If you're new here, what I want you to do is click on the link in the description below. That can open up this lesson that we're going to be working on today. So up to today, we've been working with strings. And strings are basically text used for representing words, messages, that type of stuff. They're usually wrapped around with quotation marks. But right now, we are going to learn our second data type, and that's the integer. That's used for numbers. So I got a little quick quiz for you. I want you to tell me what data type theater is. It's a string. Did you get that right? All right, now how about height? That's an integer. How about weight? That's a string. See? Because it has the pounds in it. So it's a message. Now what about speed? That is a string. See, it's really confusing, right? Because if you think it's an integer because it's a number. But as long as it is wrapped around with quotation marks or single quotes, in Python, it doesn't really matter, that is going to be a string. Okay? Really important to understand that and take note of it because that is going to be a big part of how things work moving forward. All right, so what I want you to do is I want you to tell me, what do you think is going to be printed out when I put this code in? What do you think is going to print out when you put this code on? Feel free to pause the video anytime you need to figure this out. Did you get that right? See, because it's 100 is a string, and 100 plus robot equals 100 robot. All right, now what about this? What will this print out? Did you get that right? Robot 100 robot. How about this one? I want you to notice the details. What has changed? $200. Did that confuse you? Think about what data type is this? Last one. What will this print out? Feel free to pause the video. Ready? 200 robot. So it's really important to understand something. Data types add differently. If something is a string, it's going to add very differently than something that is a number. So let me go to ask you one more question. What if I change that? How would that affect what gets printed out here? Did you get that right? 100, 100, robot. Crazy, right? So it's really important to understand the data types because that's going to affect what your code will do. All right, so last exercise, we had this really weird behavior, right? Last lesson. So I want to show you something very strange. So if we run this code, what do you think is going to happen when I type in enter after the second number input? What do you think is going to happen? One, two, three, four. That's strange, right? That's not what we wanted. What we're thinking is that it's going to turn into 46. Is that right? No, I think that's right. Okay. Anyways, so what we need to do. The problem was that we're adding these two numbers as strings. String and string together adds very differently than integer to integer together. So what we have to do is we have to make sure these variables are the correct data type so that the value that we print is what we expect. So if we're adding these two variables as strings, this is going to be our output. However, if we add them as integers, that's going to give us the output we are looking for. So how do we do that? We do that by what's called casting. We want to cast our data type from one to another. And to cast a string into an integer, what we're going to do is we're going to type in int and wrap it around with parentheses. And then that's going to convert that variable into an integer. And this will be converted to an integer. Okay? So now I'm going to run it again. And now my question for you is, when I press enter here, what do you think this will print out? Ready? Moment of truth. Huzzah. And that's what we wanted. So, really important you understand what data type you're receiving, what data type you want, what action you want your data type to do, because that is going to be all the difference to whether or not the output that you are making is what you are expecting and what you want it to do. So the behavior of your code relies very deeply on the data types that you have. Okay? So what I want you to do is finish off the rest of these problems, and I will see you next lesson.